Hey guys, hey Jody.
Hey, Daniel.
Hey,
All right.
how are you feeling today?
Good. We have to stop meeting like this.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to today. It's the third session of Live from Jody's Jazz Joint. And you have a very nice, different backdrop today. Nice saxophones and tons of mouthpieces there, which I'm sure a lot of people are envying.
Yeah, coming into the light here.
Yeah,
So
and thanks so much for those of you who are joining us live here right now. Let's jump into the comments and say hi to some of you. We have Vinny here. Nice to see you. First one in the YouTube comments. We have John from Haiti watching. Uh,
oh,
Jack, nice to see
nice.
you. Uh, Eliza from Brazil and Vinny from North Carolina. Hi Pete, nice to see you here again. And he says thanks for doing this for us. You're very welcome.
Hey,
Uh
Pete.
Lucien
Yeah.
from Brazil. We have Edward from Boston. Hey, we have Jack from Smooth Jazz Family. Good evening. Yeah, let us know where you guys are watching from. We're really excited to bring on our two special guests. And today is a very special episode or so because we're going to be sharing more about the upcoming Savannah Jazz Festival. So maybe, Jody, we could start off by sharing a bit more about this festival at which both Jasmine and Brian will be performing for.
That's right. The Savannah Jazz Festival happens every year, about the third week of September, and Jody Jazz has sponsored several Jody Jazz artists over the years. We've sponsored Andy Snitzer and Ed Collier, and
Mm,
Brian Miller is actually coming back for his second time. Tom
nice.
Scott, the Hunter
Wow.
Tones. Um,
Wow.
it's so the Savannah Jazz Festival happens usually over a week. The entire festival is free of charge to everyone,
Wow.
and it happens in different venues, and then in the big Forsyth Park on the weekend.
Mm,
This year, however, we're going to do a Savannah Safe Jazz Festival. So we're social distancing. It's going to be a live streaming event, and
mm,
from September 23rd to the 27th. Cool thing on the 23rd is an actual movie because we always had a movie night, and it's Clint Eastwood's movie, a documentary about Dave Brubeck. So
oh,
Wednesday night is a movie, and
oh.
you're going to be able to see this on YouTube, Facebook, WSAT TV,
Mm,
SAV TV, and what'll happen is the performances are going to be at the Ships of the Sea Museum. And this Savannah Jazz Festival is a cooperation between what do we call ourselves? The, let's see, Savannah Jazz is the organization. It's an all
mm.
volunteer organization that puts on this festival,
Wow.
and the city of Savannah. And the city of Savannah has graciously given us our money again, our grant, and but we agreed to have these CDC guidelines and safe jazz. So the event will be at the Ships of the Sea Museum, but there'll only be 50 total people be able to be there, including the musicians and the crew and everything.
Yeah.
So, but we have, and this, by the way, is a 39th year of this
Mm.
festival. It
Wow.
was founded by Teddy Adams, the great trombonist, and Ben Tucker, the great bass player, very famous bass player.
Mm.
And they ran it. It's an all-volunteer organization. So I'm really proud to be associated with the Jazz Festival. It's a thing that brings this whole community together in a
Mm.
way that no other event does. And that's why when we're in the park together, everybody's just hanging and listening to great music.
Wow.
So we'll try this year to kind of be watching on YouTube. I guess we'll be able to do comments just like we can on this
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, I'm
So
sure.
that'll be cool. We can say hello to each other. And so some of this year's artists are Buckwheat Zydeco Jr., of course, JAZMIN GHENT, Emmett Cohen Trio, Wycliffe Gordon, Brian Miller, Ike Stubblefield, great saxophonist David Sanchez, and Pat Bianchi. And
Wow.
that's not all. There's more. So I'm playing on Sunday, and So there's a lot of things happening. So we invite everybody to check this out.
Yeah.
Daniel, did you put a stream? I mean, a
Yes,
link to
I
the
dropped the link to the festival. I think this will be the page that will be hosting the live streaming, but I'm sure it will be on their Facebook and YouTube channels as well at Savannah Jazz. And then later down, I'll be sharing the artist links for both Brian and Jasmine's shows, and all the
great.
details will be there with the date, so you guys can save it. And man, it's just amazing to hear that it's free for the public. That's
It's
really rare.
It's an amazing thing, and normally we have jam sessions Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and the artists come by, and it's a blast late at night. We also have an educational component every year, and where we go out to the schools. And this year, we're going to do the educational master classes right here at the Jody Jazz Factory on this stage.
Oh,
So we'll
wow.
be live streaming them from here, and they go out into the schools in this area.
Wow.
So it's a great thing, and I'm really, really happy and proud to be able to sponsor two of our artists, which are such exciting performers.
Yeah.
And so I think let's bring them on,
Yeah.
Brian Miller and JAZMIN GHENT.
All right.
Hey,
Hi,
Jasmine.
Jasmine. Hi,
Hi.
Brian.
Hey, Brian.
Hi, Jody. Hi, Daniel.
Hey.
Hey,
Hey.
Brian.
Thank you guys so much for being here and for coming to do our festival.
So
Thank
happy
you
to
for
be here.
having me. Yeah.
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
really awesome. And so I guess you guys are gonna be flying in next week. Oh yeah. Oh,
Actually
driving.
driving.
Oh,
That
so
Yeah,
both
I'm
both
driving.
of you are
Yeah.
near enough. How long is the drive gonna be?
For me, I think it's, you know what? I should look that up. I was going to
it's
say
about
5 hours. I think it's
six and
more
a
than
half,
that. I don't
six and a
know.
half, Jasmine.
Oh,
Oh,
how long?
Yeah, 6.5.
6.
Yeah.
6 hours to answer your question and a half.
yeah. How about Brian? How long will the drive be?
It's about 6 hours. Well, about 5.5
Wow.
to 6, yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
so that's a component of this year's festival. For example, Wycliffe, I think, lives in Georgia,
Hmm.
and Wycliffe Gordon, and so a lot of the people are actually in driving distance.
Ah.
It was, nobody was sure when we were booking this if flights were going to be available.
Mm.
So it's great that we have some fantastic artists. By the way, Jasmine and Brian, your rhythm section, it's a house rhythm section, but it's the doom rhythm section. It's Kevin Bales, one of my favorite piano players in the world, Delbert Felix. Did you ever get to play with Delbert, Brian?
I don't think I got to play with Delbert, but I've played with Kevin before.
And Delbert's one of the best bass players anywhere. And
Wow.
I know the drummer, I can't remember his name right now. It's going to be
John.
burning.
John Mark.
Yeah.
John who? Who's
John
that?
Lim-
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
that's going to be fantastic, just playing with those guys. And so maybe, Jasmine, how about telling how you came to Jody Jazz and because you guys both remember better and have better stories than me, how we got started.
Well, I know me personally. I was my parents loved jazz music. They'd always play Kirk Whalum and Gerald Albright, and I always had those sounds, and I had this classical mouthpiece in middle school. So I did all this research, and the HR mouthpiece popped up on the internet, and I tried multiple other mouthpieces as well, but I really gravitated towards the HR. I loved the like it had this like warm sound to it. It was great for a traditional sense and even intimate settings. I just loved the sound of the HR. So I played that for years. That was my introduction, and that was middle school, high school. And then I went on to the DV mouthpiece, and now I'm playing the Super Jet. So I feel like I've tried a good amount of the mouthpieces for years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny because I think Brian was playing the HR2 when we met,
Yeah,
right, Brian?
that's right. I was playing on an HR6.
Mm.
I was playing on an HR6, and then the first edition was the Jet, and then the Super. Then and now the Super Jet,
Mm.
and on tenor, I initially played the DV, and the DV was great for me, but it was all. I don't know what it was, but when I played the DV Chicago, it was just like, it was a whole nother thing, and I was just like, okay, this is the one for me, you know.
Yeah.
So it's that one that just stood out, and it was very, because for years I had played on the Auto Link, and I was just like, there's no other mouthpiece that's gonna really give me what this Auto Link will do, and I'm just so comfortable with this. But when I played the DV Chicago, I was like, okay, wait a minute, this is it.
Yeah, and you've been to the factory a couple of times.
Mhm.
You guys, I think, are stopping by the factory while you're here for the festival. And JAZMIN, it's a real experience to just have all the mouthpieces, and because nobody ever gets that experience. All the mouthpieces, all the tip openings, and then I have
Wow.
all the reeds because every mouthpiece might take a different reed, and then we can really it's an experience. And so if we have time, JAZMIN, we can go through some stuff. Just uh, it'll be fun.
That would be awesome. Beyond
Yeah.
exciting.
So what are you guys playing at the festival? What kind of stuff are you playing, JAZMIN?
So I'm doing a mixture. I'm gonna do some songs from. I have a new CD coming out next year. So some songs from that, and I think we'll do some old school songs as well. That'll be a surprise.
Okay. All right. Cool. And you got some of the singles from your current album that you're going to do, the one that's coming out.
Yes. So
Right.
that it'll be solely for the Savannah Jazz Festival. No one has heard these songs yet. So
Oh wow.
Cool. That's going to be up there streaming. They expect 100,000 people to be watching and around the world. So if you're
No
trying to
pressure,
keep it
right?
under the lid,
And I
it's
guess
Good
that's
point.
that's the cool thing, right, Jody? Because I guess last time it would be just limited to the people who are around Savannah. At
totally.
most a few hours drive. And they
Yeah.
would come down. But now it's totally different. Being live streamed definitely has advantages. So I mean, we have friends from Brazil, Haiti, and in Asia, of course, which there was no way we would have been able to check out all these acts. So I think it's gonna be great. Definitely gonna be a bigger reach than
Yeah.
other past years. So I guess that's the silver lining. Of everything, I guess. And JAZMIN, I think you recorded your album with Huge Groove.
I did. He actually produced the album. So that was an awesome experience. I was in California for 7 days and really got to just take our time and make sure that, it's exactly how I wanted it to sound. And same for him. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
When's the album coming out?
In January of next year. So we don't have
Okay.
a set date, but January.
Cool.
Cool.
Do you want to play a clip, Daniel, or a video of anything of
Yeah.
JAZMIN's?
Yeah, let's play a clip of JAZMIN's, and this is your tune Heat, and maybe JAZMIN, you could share a bit about this tune.
Oh, before, sorry, I didn't know if you were
Yeah,
going to play
before,
it first.
sorry.
So, heat. I live in Florida, and Jody being from Florida, it's hot and humid. So that's my inspiration.
Okay.
Cool. I'm gonna pull it up, and then let's do this. All right.
Yeah.
Uh,
Nice track. Nice
Nice.
track, Jasmine.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Nice. So,
So go
Jasmine,
ahead, Danny.
you know what made you, feel like tenor was your main voice? Were you always playing tenor even at a younger age?
I started on alto, and my mom brought this tenor home, and she just said, "You're gonna play this." And I grew to love the sound of the tenor. I like that it's kind of uh deeper, a darker sound, but so I didn't have a choice, basically.
Please tell your mom I said thank you.
Well, right. I will. I'll relay the message.
And it was this exact tenor that your mom brought back?
No, it wasn't actually. But it was the same like company or brand. So
Mm. Cool.
Yeah, tell us, Jasmine, the companies that you endorse besides Jody Jazz.
no problem. So of course JodyJazz, mouthpieces, and Legier reeds. I use Legier right now, 3, and Yanagasawa. I've played Yanagasawa saxophone since that was the first saxophone I had. So yes, so those are the companies.
Cool.
Nice.
Cool.
Nice.
Um,
How about Brian? What's your current setup on your instrument?
So I'm playing, of course, Jody Jazz Superjet 8, and I am not endorsed with a reed company, but I use the red box Van Dorens. Those are the ones that tend to speak best for me, and I can speak best through. And then I'm endorsed with Trevor James saxophones.
Mm.
and what number of reed the red box is it?
I used to play 3.5s, but now I've come down to 3s.
Yeah, I think the Superjet people come down a little bit because of the shorter facing.
Oh yeah, I even thought about going to 2.5, but I don't want it to get shrill sounding. I don't want it to get almost where it sounds paper thin. I mean, I can manipulate it really well. I can play bright on it. I can play dark on it, however I want to, on the 3. But I think if I went too soft, maybe it would kind of change the sound. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I mean, Jasmine and I were talking about it today. Is like how amazingly important the reed strength is to your sound, and it's. I never want to play with a bad reed. I don't want to practice or anything, and people. That's one of the things I always try and tell people. Really spend that time to get that right reed. Hey, Daniel, can we play that Brian's clip? I think this clip is what I heard. And then, I heard that clip, or you can tell the story, but play this clip. That's the first time I heard Brian. He's playing the HR Star.
Okay. So I have this video of Brian playing the funk that we have loaded up here. So maybe I'll pull that up. Oops.
And I think it's the HR Star. And then Brian, you can tell the story how we kind of got together.
Okay.
Oh, this is the funk video.
This is the funk video. Yeah, of you
Okay,
playing the
okay.
HR Star.
Okay, yeah. Oh wow.
Ridiculous.
Wow.
Oh
And no
wow.
one
That
would
was
have thought that was a HR.
that was a fun show, man. That, believe it or not, everybody that was on the stage, with the exception of me, everybody on that stage shared some time with the legendary Godfather Soul, James Brown.
Wow.
Martha High was up there. Tyrone Jefferson was up there. I can't remember Keith's last name, the guitar player. He was there. I mean, the drummer they call Mouse, he was there. I mean, it was amazing. Of course, James Brown was the Godfather. He was gone already, but to have everybody there just sharing stories and intimate details about him and just their time with him, man, it was just amazing to be in that company of people. So
Wow.
it was a real fun show.
What struck me on that clip is Mouse was just so stoic. You were like burning, and Mouse was just like. So,
Oh man,
Brian, tell the story. You told it last night when we were practicing. How
oh, the
yeah.
delay.
You call it a delay. I'll call it deliberation. No, go ahead.
So I sent a video to you, Jody,
On Messenger. That's key.
on Facebook Messenger. Yes, on Facebook Messenger, I sent a video to you, I think in April, and
of what year, or
this was
years
like
ago, right?
2016, I think.
Okay.
And then you sent me a response in October. So just a few weeks.
But
and you said, I can't remember exactly what you said. I don't want to pick up my phone, but you said something like, Brian, I'm so sorry, man. I don't know how this slipped past me or something. And I'd love to talk to you sometime or whatever. And I was like, oh, really? Okay. And from the time we ever talked, man, it was just like, I really enjoyed your products. I honestly don't think I would have stopped playing it anyway without the endorsement. I really liked it, and that's why it's easy to endorse it, because it's something I really like. You make a very good product. And so I started playing the HR, which actually, believe it or not, I was playing on a Meyer prior to that. And my sax tech, he told me, I said, man, I'm looking for something different. I said, but I don't want anything super bright. I said, but I want a little edge. I want something to cut. And he said, well, check this out, because he said, I've got this and I don't play it anymore. And it was the HR. And I said, okay. And I played it right there at his house. And I said, well, can I use it on a gig? I had like a little string of gigs for like 2 or 3 days. I said, can I use it and bring it back, after the weekend? He said, sure. He said, keep it a week, couple weeks if you want to. He said, like I said, I'm not using it, because he moved to a metal mouthpiece. And he says, just let me know what you think of it. And so, I asked him, I said, what will you take for it? He said, because, at that point, I'd already played it for about 5 or 10 minutes standing in his house. I said, what will you take for it? He told me, and I was like, okay, well, I'll just send you some money then. He's okay. If it works for you, just be sure you like it first. And needless to say, he never got that mouthpiece back. And, and so then you came out with the Jet, and I just looked at that mouthpiece and I was like, man. And the first time I heard the Jet actually was from a saxophonist who's not necessarily known for his alto playing. He's a bari player, and Jason Marshall. And we did a recording together here in Kernersville. And imagine the sax section is Brad Leely on lead. I'm playing second alto. Jason Marshall's on bari. Will Campbell's on second tenor. And who was on first tenor? No, I was playing first tenor. Will Campbell's on second tenor. James Gates was on second alto. Brad Leely was on lead, and Jason Marshall was on bari. And so when we were on a break, we'd just come back from having lunch, and Jason was like, hey, man, can I play your horn? And I was like, sure. I said, you got a mouthpiece? He said, yeah. He said, man, I just got this not long ago, and I'm checking it out. And, Jason, he just kind of dapping around, kind of, walking through the studio. And then this guy who's got a sound on his barry, just like that'll fill up any room, he picks up this jet mouthpiece and puts it on an alto. And I thought I played my alto hard. And I was just like, God, dude, what are you doing? And I mean, that thing just spoke, man. And it was just like, man. And I said, man, I gotta look into one of those. I said, I've heard about it, but I gotta check into it. And next thing I know, I had one, and I was just like, oh my God. And right when I started getting comfortable with that, the Superjet comes out. That was the last stop for me. Because I'm just like, man, I mean, like I said, it's a very, you remember, Jody, I told you too, when you first let me play the Superjet, and you were like, yeah, this is this particular mouthpiece, or this, I had in mind this particular thing. And I said, don't corner it, don't box it, don't put it in a box, don't say it's just this particular mouthpiece. I said, because, me, I may not play this part of music or this style of music, but if I hear that that's what it's labeled to or catering to, I won't even look at it. I said, because it's not what I do. But man, that mouthpiece, I've fallen in love with the Superjet. I've fallen completely in love with it. I like the way it speaks, and I like the way I'm able to manipulate it and get whatever sound or tone I want out of it. It's very versatile, so I'm enjoying it quite a bit.
Cool. Well, maybe we get you guys to play a little bit, just in your house there, or Brian's at church. Brian is, I did want to talk to you guys about that. Like, what's the influence of the church? And JAZMIN, like, did you kind of grow up in the church and were influenced by the music?
Big time. I grew up in Huntsville, Alabama. So that was a big thing to play in church. Before I started playing in church, I would always hear, like I told you, people like Kirk Whalum, Gerald Albright. I would hear those sounds constantly. So that's all I knew. When I got a saxophone at first, that's what I thought the saxophone sound was. I wasn't consciously trying to sound like that. So at first, this is what I was hearing. I'm gonna see if I can stand back and play some.
Yeah.
Can you hear? Is this okay?
We can hear you. Yeah.
Great.
And like the Kirk Whalum sound, and he would do these awesome ballads. So by the time I got in church, my mom, she was like, you have to play in church, and I didn't know what I was doing. And I would listen to the choir and try to figure out some notes and figure out what to fit in. And I'm sure, Brian, you can attest to this as well. So I would hear songs like Great Is Thy Faithfulness and try to play it as a ballad. So kind of some of the things I would hear. Great, all these hymns and try to imitate it and try to like fit in when the choir was singing. So I had no idea what I was doing, but I'm very thankful for it. Really made me grow ear-wise and just listening.
And it's something that I love so much when I hear a player that has grown up in the church, and just you and Brian both have it, and we had Mike Burton on recently, and it's just the beautiful expression and inflections, and it's just, and I think it really comes from listening to everything in the church and playing along. That was beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think it's so important to playing. Brian, you want to play a little bit and talk to us about your influence with the church?
I mean, I don't know if I want to play after Jasmine. You should let me play first.
Yeah.
But I began initially playing in the church. I started playing in the church when I was probably 10 or almost 11 years old.
Already playing saxophone.
Yes, playing saxophone. And when I started playing, it was just like, you know, I used to play so bad, man. My mom wouldn't even let me play in the house. She was like, go outside, take that horn outside, get in the yard to do something. Cause you know, I was honking and squealing and squawking all over everything. You know, I mean, I can remember playing reeds that literally like an eighth of the panel on the side of it was gone. You know, so I mean, it didn't matter. I just had a saxophone in my hand, so that was all that mattered. But I started playing in church, man, and that's where, you know, that's where my roots are. And I mean, to this day, I still play in church. You know, if you were to ask me, hey, man, you know, are you a jazz musician or are you a gospel musician? I'd honestly, you know, I would try to stay away from putting myself in a box. I'd just say I'm a musician, but I can never leave my roots, and I don't ever intend to, you know, because the church, you know, and playing in church, you know, my gift is given from God. And, you know, playing in the church, I think is one of the true things that has really sustained me this far, you know, just even because in gospel music, you've heard just about every progression that you'll hear, even in the jazz field, you know, and, you know, that's not to take anything away from jazz, but it's certainly not to discredit gospel, as I've heard some people do also before. But, you know, it's just one of those things. I love playing in church. Like I say, from 11 years old to now 41, 42 Tuesday after the festival. And, you know, that's, you know, it's been a blessing for me to be able to do it. And I'm gonna shut up talking. I'm gonna play.
All right. Yeah. Oh,
Yes.
two words, Brian. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
You practiced.
That's an inside joke.
Yeah.
Brian and I have played many gigs together, and Brian always just blows the house down, and I'm left just standing.
No.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So,
Wow.
guys, how has this COVID thing affected your musical careers?
Maybe
Brian.
Brian. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, just like everybody else, it slowed it down. But surprisingly enough, man, I just, believe it or not, when COVID hit, I had just begun getting a setup to where I'd be able to record and track from home.
Ah,
And so when that happened, I just kind of threw, pretty much threw a bone. I was to a couple of buddies. I was like, "Hey, man, I'm set up to track. Send me something to work on." And when I said that, when I said that, it was like the floodgates started to open, man. So I've had some really great opportunities. Some people have asked me to do some things on, some that are still yet to come, but I've already had two released, and it's pretty cool, man. One is doing really well. A good buddy of mine, Ronnie Coleman, out of Houston, and he just released a single on his birthday last month, and it's entitled "Funky Monkey." And it's Ronnie Coleman, and it features myself and Irvin Williams guitars, and we had a lot of fun. So things have gone well. Live shows, of course, had dried up for a while. I've kind of begun playing again now for about the last 3 weeks. Last 3 weekends have been pretty good, wedding receptions, that kind of thing. But prior to that, man, it was slim picking, you know. So, but thankfully,
but you've
my
been,
family sustained.
yeah, you've been playing church all along, almost, right?
Yes, I haven't missed a single Sunday from church, with the exception of when my wife and we just dropped off our oldest at culinary school in New York. So,
Wow.
Wow.
yeah. So I missed that Sunday, of course, because we moved her in on Saturday and then we drove back on Sunday. But outside of that, man, ever since I work a day job and I went home March 18th, and that Sunday on up to the 6th of September was the first Sunday that I missed. So we've been, and the congregation has actually even been back for about the last 3 months now. So their social distance, we've incorporated an 8 o'clock service now as well, which we weren't having at first. But the overflow experience is not the same as being in the actual sanctuary. So they incorporated an 8 o'clock service, and so we do two services now, 8 and 11.
Cool. So yeah, you've kept playing quite a bit and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Before we get to JAZMIN, could we, speaking of your music, Brian, Daniel, do you have that that claymation?
Yes, I was just pulling
So
it out because Brian, you wrote and produced this tune, and then together with Danielle's amazing work,
let me just
you
say
guys
something
did this.
about that.
Cool.
Because
Maybe I
Danielle
should.
Walker is
Yeah.
Danielle Walker works with JodyJazz. She's a great saxophone player herself, and
Yes,
she
she is.
plays 6 nights a week at the Savannah Theater. She plays all the horns, and she just took this little project when COVID started, I think, onto herself. She started doing this claymation thing with the JodyJazz logo, and I hadn't even asked her to do it or anything. And it's a massive thing when it took so long. And then she reached out to Brian if he could put some music to it. And you did this thing. So it's Brian's music. It's Daniel Walker's work. And let's check that out, Daniel.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Oh, sorry. Give me a minute.
Okay.
While you're doing that, Daniel, I'll also say
Yeah.
the gentleman who actually did the drum track and also played bass on it is the bassist right here at the church. His name is
Oh,
Thurman.
cool.
Thurman Woods. He goes by Peanut. That's how everybody knows him. But you go on YouTube and check out Thurman Peanut Woods. He's an amazing bassist, man. I play with some really great guys. I've just been blessed. But he did the drum tracking and the engineering of this.
Nice. Okay, let me pull this up right now.
That is awesome.
Isn't that cool?
Awesome.
And
Thank you. Really.
great track, Brian. It's just perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. And Jasmine, could you tell us about your career, your ascendancy in the Smooth Jazz Festival circuit and cruises with Dave Koz and stuff, and you were flying high. Tell us about that. And also, I guess at some point you quit your day gig and you were full time, but
Yes. So I would like to preface by saying, as you guys know, everyone's journey is different. So there's of course not a set blueprint. Me personally, I started after I graduated college. I went on the Smooth Jazz Cruise, and they have this show your talent competition. And I had my saxophone, and Brian Culbertson and like Marcus Miller were the judges, Boney James, and so I was of course extremely nervous, but it was crazy because these are people I listened to, since I was little. So that inspired me to start writing. I started writing and came out with an EP. And once I came out with that, I was living in Nashville at the time, and just started like calling festivals.
wow.
Just any festival, and just asking if I had the opportunity, just to play, if I can play. And many times the response would be, like what? Who are you? But there's always, if I called 30 festivals, there might be one or two. I remember those people, to this day that just gave me that opportunity to play. So from there, I'd say the past like three years, things had picked up. I was teaching elementary music, and I ended up resigning. I quit last December, just because I really wanted to take that leap of faith and solely play and perform. And COVID happens, of course, and definitely many gigs and festivals are postponed for next year. Postponed, of course, because we don't know, time wise, how everything is going to be. But it definitely forced me to write. And I always wanted to get a fourth CD together. So it forced me to do that. I mean, the CD is done now, and I'm excited to share that because I have a song on there called Corona Blue. For example, a lot of things on the CD is just defines how life is right now. So that, and then it also forced me to, I've always wanted to pursue my doctorate. So I'm currently in school now. So
Wow.
Oh wow.
That's a big deal.
Congratulations.
And I asked you last night, but tell us about your thesis, your dissertation that you think you're going to do.
Well, yes. So I've already started this, but I've always been interested in introducing jazz to young kids, like early age, elementary, because I think everything is just how it's presented, and if we make it fun and exciting, I think we can have more people within jazz music and continue the tradition. It's America's history, rich history.
Yeah, and I think you'd be the perfect person, and that'll be so great.
Oh, thank you.
And, yeah, we'll have that'll. I think our third. You'll be our third doctor endorser. Dr. Ed Collier, Dr. Jasmine, and Dr. Scott Littroff up in New York. And we might have some more, but those are the ones I know of. So, Brian, are you going to go back to school?
No, I don't intend to.
No. Okay.
I don't intend to.
Jasmine, do you have another track? Anything? You don't have anything from the new record that we could hear. I don't know if Daniel has it up yet, or anything else you'd like us to hear.
Oh, well, I was going to explain. I'm sure Brian can also attest to this, but some of the music that always influenced me after, some of my early years. I love like Gene Ammons
Oh yeah.
uh, and Stanley Turrentine
I was
and
going to say
Hank
I heard
Mobley.
him in Heat. I heard Stanley. I was like, oh my God.
I'm a huge Stanley Turrentine fan.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna, I think I'm gonna play a little bit of. This is a Hank Mobley song. I won't say what it's called yet.
Cool. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Very nice.
Very nice.
And
So that was a
Yeah.
favorite off of Soul Station.
Soul
So
Station, yeah.
it's called
And-
Dig This.
and that is so cool that I'm not sure that all aspiring smooth jazz players have dug in to, all the history of jazz. And like you've listened to Gene Ammons, Hank Mobley, Turrentine, so many cats other than the usual suspects in the smooth jazz world. And that makes your playing so rich. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, what do you guys want to do? Do you have
I think now maybe we could, while we open up for questions, so you guys can let us know if you have any questions for anyone here, and maybe we would love to hear Brian play more as well. So Brian,
Yeah.
maybe you could play something for us while the questions come in, and then we
All
can
right.
we can get to those questions.
and Brian, I just kind of wondered if you tell us kind of what you'll be playing at the festival. What style or
So I am going to I'm going to be playing some jazz, of course, but I am also going to do a few gospel standards.
oh, nice.
So it's going to be it's going to be real fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. I talked to Kevin today, and he's on board, and he's getting the other guys on board. So it's going to be real. It's going to be real nice. It's going to be.
I
real
know
nice.
it's going to be great.
I love playing gospel music, man. I just don't think there's any other music as expressive and as emotional, and especially like going through something now like this pandemic where thankfully I have not been affected by it directly, but I did lose a very good friend of mine just about 2 weeks ago. And,
I'm so sorry.
and his name was also Brian. And but this guy, and I still work my day job, and on Wednesdays and Thursdays I go into the office on assignment, and he was a truck driver. And so every Wednesday or Thursday morning, if I wasn't calling him by about 5 o'clock, he was calling me because he was a truck driver. So he was already en route on his way to the dock to pick up his load or whatever. And he'd be like, "Hey, big bro, you up?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, man, I'm up. I'm almost headed out the house. Let me hit you back when I get in the truck." And so we talk all the way in, man. And he was definitely one of my biggest supporters. His name was Brian Lewis. So certainly, I'm still praying and in contact with his family, his lovely wife, Nina, and Nia and Zoe, their kids. And I'm staying in touch with them just because, that was like my brother. And so to lose, I've lost someone close to this thing. And so, it's just gospel music for me. I mean, even though jazz will do it, gospel music for me is just that much different, because not only is it emotional for me, it's that I know where my help comes from. For me, it signifies that, I realize that the only breath I can put in this instrument is the breath that God gives me. The only thing I can say through this instrument is through the voice that God gives me on this instrument. So I'm really gonna put a little bit of that into it, when we come down. And it's gonna be a lot of fun, man. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Um but trying to think what I want to play now.
Brian, do you want to play something for your friend Brian?
Trying to make me cry, huh? I'll do something. Yeah, I'll do something.
Okay.
This will be at full tilt, so I move the microphone a little ways back.
Okay. Ah.
Yes.
Wow.
Wow.
So yeah, that was Errol Garner's Misty, but it was also the end of it that I played as a tag was I Love You, Lord. But yeah, I dedicate that to my deceased brother, Brian Lewis, who's a good buddy, and he's sorely missed.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that, Brian.
That's beautiful.
Oh.
So beautiful. And
It-
sorry, so
it-
sorry for your loss, man. Wow, we have to like just sit for a moment after that performance. So beautiful. Wow.
Yeah. And, I think the first time I heard Brian play was at the NAMM show. I think it was like 2 years ago,
Yeah.
and it's just like incredible and wondering like who this guy was, and I was at the jam,
Oh yeah.
at night, and I remember there were, I think, this tune, I can't remember which tune, but there were tons of horn players on stage, and I think Brian, you were actually off stage. And I think maybe I think you weren't like maybe gonna play on the
Yeah.
tune or something, and everyone soloed, and then you you didn't even get on stage. You just played from off stage, and it still filled the room. It was like, I was like, that's crazy. Like
Oh,
really
wow.
crazy. I think everyone was like, whoa, where do you pop out from, and the sound is just coming out of nowhere. So it's just amazing, huge sound, but just man, yeah,
Thank you,
I'm
man.
sure you've heard it many times, but just incredible music from the heart, and I think maybe I could pull up this video. We talked about wanting to show this video as well, and this was from, I think this was last year's Jazz Jam, and this is a tune called "Can't Stay Blue." So we're gonna play
Okay.
a bit of the start, and then we're gonna jump to Brian's solo, and you guys will get a sense of what happens at these jams. And I think Brian is probably a mainstay of every NAM Jazz Jam already. So I'm gonna pull up this video. Give me a minute. Okay.
And this has Kirk Whalum and Tom Scott and I think Don
Yeah.
Braden and
Mm.
And Jody Espina.
Yeah.
who? I never heard of him.
All right, we're gonna play a bit of the first chorus, and then we're gonna jump to Brian's solo.
Kirk Whalum tune.
At the end of the week, Lord, I found you. Jody, you remember the words? Since you set me free, I just can't stay blue. You changed my life. Now I depend on you. Everything's all right. Tom played the backup going in, and I played him going out. Don Braden.
Oh yeah.
Brian Miller. Brian Miller, y'all.
Wow.
That was stanky.
That was a fun night. That was a fun
Very
night.
nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I just say, any questions? It's like that's
Man, you guys are making me want to pick up my Superjet mouthpiece for today and just honk on it, man. Really, really great. And
Man, I tell
yeah, thank you so much for those of you who are here in the comments still with us. And we have David Haynes saying, sounding great, Brian and Jasmine. See you at Savannah. So
Oh,
and the great thing is you guys from all around the world can watch as well with the live stream link. And so I think now might be a good time. I'm gonna drop in Brian's link. So you can go to this link, and his show is on Sunday, September 27th at 4:05 p.m.
Eastern
drop
Standard
it.
Time.
Eastern.
Yeah.
So you guys can save the link, and I'm sure Brian and Jasmine will share it again next week. So this is Brian's link to the show. You guys just log in, have a drink with you, and enjoy the show from wherever you are. And next, I'm gonna drop in Jasmine's link.
I'll probably have my manager sharing my links. Now, just so you know, my manager is my 12-year-old daughter, who she has said she wants to manage me. Daddy, can I be your manager? And this.
Wow.
So my 12-year-old daughter, I'm going to give her the links, and she'll be posting them. I just have to make sure my wife makes sure she does it.
All right.
Awesome. So I just shared Jasmine's link, and her show is on Saturday, September 26th at 5:05 p.m. Eastern Time. Cool. So I think it's gonna be a great show. And just now Jody mentioned some of the artists, and I think it's gonna be incredibly diverse lineup. So definitely it's gonna be a great show, and we're looking forward to seeing if you guys are at the Jody Jazz Factory, and trying out some mouthpieces, and maybe some fun videos there as well. That's gonna be
Yeah.
fun. So maybe I'm gonna jump in, and let me know if you guys have any questions for our special guests here. Anything mouthpiece music related, how they started on the instrument, their main influences. Let's see.
Yeah, if you don't see anything, I have that question for Brian. We heard some of Jasmine's influences. I can hear them, of course, but
Cool. Yeah.
What?
Maybe before we jump into the first question, maybe Brian, you could share with us what were your main influences.
So I'm gonna get in trouble for this, but my main influence, in my eyes, greatest saxophonist to ever live, in my eyes and in my heart, is Cannonball.
hello.
So Cannonball's my guy. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, I studied Bird, I studied some
I can hear it.
Train, some
Can
Hank
hear it.
Mobley, but just to really like the voice that I want to have on the saxophone. If I had to choose, now granted, you want your own voice, but I have tried to get as close to Cannonball as I can. Man, it's just it's tough to get away from it. And there was a gentleman when I was growing up. I went to Victory Temple, which is now Greater Victory Apostolic Church, growing up. But we fellowship with the church, Shiloh Pentecostal Church out of Jacksonville, North Carolina. And there was a gentleman there who was my biggest inspiration as a gospel saxophonist. He served in the Marine Corps, because he was stationed at Camp Lejeune in Jacksonville. And his name was Deacon Sass. And if I knew how to get up with him right now to this day, I would, because I don't think he really understood just the impact that he had, that every time. I mean, I knew I wouldn't see him every time we went there or he came here because, military, they have different hours and that kind of thing. But the times I was able to get to hear him and even just to be able to share in the bandstand with him at church, man, it was just amazing. And I don't really think I wish I could, give him his flowers and tell him, hey, man, you're partly responsible for me being who I am today, because he kept me inspired even from a church standpoint. Because when I was coming up in church, I was almost like in my area, I was the only saxophone player. So, it wasn't like I had really many places to go to get, that inspiration or what have you. I just had to be inspired by those around me, which that was, still a good thing too. And I did still have that. But, then I got turned on to Phil Driscoll, and he had a saxophone player with him, and I can't remember his name right now to save my life. But I began hearing him, and I was like, okay, these guys, and Phil Driscoll was, he was out there, it wasn't just slow down gospel music. This was like gospel, but party music, it was, a happening time in church with that music. So, but I would say my biggest influence, man, was Cannonball. That's where it kind of starts and ends with me,
Yeah, cool. And, we hear it, but it's totally you. It's not, you are you. You have your own voice, and we heard it on that blues just then, and it's you, man.
Thank you.
People can't wait to hear you at the festival. Both of you.
Yeah.
Can't wait. Can't wait.
It's gonna be great. And we have a comment here. We say we have a huge Brian Miller fan, Cameron from North Carolina, and just got a HR from JodyJazz last year and love it. And that
Great.
Super Jets things. So yeah, I guess for anyone who is on a HR Star or even a DV or DV New York, if you wanna get that really really big powerful sound, definitely check out the Super Jets. And we have Daryl here. A question for Brian: will there be a solo album from you?
Can you do
I
me a
have the
favor?
same
Black out Jody's screen right now and mute his mic right now. So I'll just say this. I'm strongly thinking about it. I do have some things that I do already have that I could begin to record. So it's coming. It's coming. When, I don't know. I'm just gonna be honest, I don't know. But I do intend to get something out, and even if not even for me, honestly, for my kids.
For me. I need to put it on the record that for 5 years I've been begging you, cajoling and humiliating you to try and make a record. Anything I can do. So make that record. Make that record. Okay?
We'll all definitely be looking forward to that.
Listen, I'm a big guy, and this little Jody had me like in tears at the dinner table. Because this dude is telling, and it's just, that's one thing too that, if I can say real quickly, that's one thing that really stood out to me with you, Jody, was the fact that, I knew I didn't have half of the footprint that a lot of people do have that are your endorsers. And for me, it was just a kid taking a stab in the dark, like, hey man, listen to me, I'm playing your mouthpiece. If you don't mind, what can I do, or what are you looking for out of endorsers? And when we had, I think I tell you every time I see you, and I'll tell you again now, thank you for the opportunity, man, because it's just it's really it's a blessing to be able to play on, because a lot of it is us as the individuals and as the musician, but a lot of it is our equipment too. And if you don't have good equipment, you can't do it. You won't even sound like yourself if you don't have equipment that's going to allow you to, as my wife would say, to be great, So you make a great product, man, and it allows us to do what we do. So thank you.
Well, thank you. I'm a kid in the candy store when I get to hang out with the great players like you, like Jasmine, like all, I'm just a fan, and to be able to try and hang and on a stage, and it's one thing hearing somebody, but when you're standing right next to them, it's such a thrill.
Mm.
Uh, so thank you all. Thank
Wow.
you. Yeah, man.
And we have another question from Cameron. Favorite reed brand? I think I'll help to recap for Jasmine and Brian. But Jody, maybe you could share a bit of what you use for your mouthpieces.
Well, I've been Rico Diodario artist for a long time. I was using the Select Jazz when they first came out, and so I don't like to say that you have to play one reed for my mouthpieces, because I think a good mouthpiece is going to play pretty much with any good reed that you like. But what I love about the Diodario is that they have come in third strengths, so like 3 soft, 3 medium, 3 hard. As being an artist, I've been to their factory and I learned some things that not most people don't know, and testing a lot of reeds. And I really think the most important thing about a reed is the strength. So if you can narrow it down and get that strength, it's a sweet spot. So your low notes come out easy and your high notes have enough support. That's that sweet spot. And so that's for me. That's why I'm on those reeds. But I'm friends with everybody. I've been to Leger 3 times up in Canada, and I have their reeds that I always keep. When I travel to a high altitude place, all the reeds, nothing works. They play a lot harder. So I might go right to my Leger, so traveling a lot, every time you get off the plane, that reed might be different. So I definitely have some variety of reeds.
And Jasmine, you're on the Leger signature size 3, right?
Yes, yes.
And that, have you always been on synthetic reeds?
I haven't actually. I would say the past 4 years, I've been playing the Legier reeds. So, um, like Jody was saying, I actually was testing out different reeds, and um, it's funny. When I went to California last month, I was trying out a wood reed, and I did it at home. And once I got there, it was just a whole nother animal. So you always have to take into account weather, things of that nature. So with Legier, you do know what you're going to get, but I think the mouthpiece is a big component as well.
Mm. And Brian, you are on the Vandoren Java Reds.
Yes, I currently play the Van Doren Java's Red Box.
3, right?
Yes, the 3.
Yeah.
So thank you for that question, Cameron. As you can see, everyone uses a different reed brand.
But I am interested in playing other things too.
Maybe we can hook you up, Brian.
Yeah. We have a question from Terry. Is asking, is Jody gonna play his Superjet mouthpiece today?
Yeah, is Jody gonna play today?
I had to find a mouthpiece and find a reed. It takes me about 15 minutes to find a good reed, and I'm not going to play after these 2 players. But if you watch the Savannah Jazz Festival, I forget what time I'm playing. I'm playing with a singer named Stephanie Nikasian, and a really great jazz singer. And it's in the afternoon, I think, on Sunday. I think it's before you, Brian.
Okay.
So I'll be playing. I'm not sure. I think I'm going to play my custom dark, since I have to be. I'm like the opposite of Brian. We're like ebony and ivory and stuff. So if you're going to be on the Superjet, I'm going to be on the custom dark. So
I got to try the custom dark while I'm down there too, man.
You're going to love it, and I'll give you a good price.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
I dropped the link for the festival as well, the schedule, so you guys can check it out and look out for the timings of the other artists. And let me pull out a few more comments. We're definitely coming down towards the end of our show, so do let us know if you have any last questions. We have Lloyd saying, "Great music, Hang." Thank you, Lloyd.
Hey, Lloyd.
And We have Kevin says Cannonball is the man. Any advice for staying focused through quarantine? Maybe Brian?
I just say, whatever it takes to keep you focused, whether it's just listening, I'm a firm believer that a lot of practice is, yes, application on the instrument, but a lot of practice also is listening and just keeping your ears open to things and being able to hear new concepts and hear different things. So whether the instrument's in your hand, whether you're trying to write some pitches or figure some stuff out, maybe on a keyboard or piano, just stay at it, keep something going to where you can stay musically sharp. And you should be fine.
How about Jasmine? Any tips?
Same. As far as listening is of course a big component, but a big aspect of music, of course, is that community and building that community and still being able to play with people. So how Brian was saying, playing at church and finding different avenues like that, I think helps at least me a lot as well.
Cool.
I
Thank
have
you.
something to
Yeah.
say on that.
Yeah.
If you're not taking lessons, it is hard to stay focused. When you have a lesson every week, the teacher gives you your assignment and you're focused. So if you're not taking lessons, try and give yourself a lesson, like write down your thing, have a routine. So to me, it's always, you're gonna have a quarter of your practice is sound development. And there's a lot of things you can do. And then there's technique, so scales and different things. And then there's repertoire, working on tunes, and that's the listening and improvising. And I have on JodyJazz.com free online lessons, and I wrote some of them for like adult amateurs or people who don't have that much time to practice, but trying to make that practice fun. But by focusing, you have your assignment for the week, and you have this structure to your practice time. If you know you have an hour, then you chop it up so you get your stuff done, and that's how I do it. Because I know a lot of people aren't taking lessons. Every once in a while, it's good. Everybody's doing Skype lessons. So I don't know if Brian and Jasmine, you're giving lessons, but over FaceTime or whatever. But you can reach out to almost anybody and just try, see if they're giving lessons. A lot of our artists are giving lessons, and you can get great inspiration from that and keep your focus.
Yeah, and also Jody will be releasing several educational videos coming up as well on the YouTube channel. So if you guys are still not subscribed to the JodyJazz YouTube channel, you can do it right now. For those of you who are watching on Facebook, you can click the link above, then you'll find the YouTube channel. And yeah, more videos. I think there's more than 200 videos now already on the JodyJazz YouTube channel, so you can check out that video of Brian playing the funk is on there, the climation video. So and we have a lot of I Play JodyJazz videos, which Jasmine's is going to be out soon as well, so do check all of that out. And Jody, Brian asked me in the private chat, and he asked when he can get his lesson from you. So maybe when you guys meet in the factory.
I won't have time then. You'll have to schedule with my manager, and it's my rate goes up every day. So try and get in before the new year when the rates go up. It's getting pretty serious.
Some steep pricing.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So.
But actually, just now Jody asked, both Brian and Jasmine, could people contact you for lessons if they wanted to? Do you guys both teach privately? Cool. So that's great. So I'm sure you guys can hunt them down, and I always feel like, if you guys want it enough, you'll find a way to contact them, so I'm not going to drop their contact info here. So I'm sure you guys can find it. And
and I'll hook people up I'll give them their contact if they can't find it.
Okay.
But,
awesome. And Joel, okay. No
Go
problem.
ahead.
And Joel is asking Brian, will you be singing and playing on your CD?
I will be playing. I don't know if I'll be singing. I don't know. Who knows? Let's see. What you all don't know is Joel is a good buddy of mine, and he can sing his
Ah,
butt off. I mean, he can sing
wow.
for real. So if that's a plug, yes, I'll invite you to sing on the album.
By the way, Jasmine sings very nicely, and
Really?
yes, and she's got a song, "Love Is," and it's on your website, right? It's got a video. It
Yes.
is so beautiful.
Thank
Everybody's got to check
Wow.
that out. Um, yeah.
you
So
so
you're
much.
kind of hiding that talent a little bit, like Diana Krall was. Diana Krall was just thought of herself as a pianist, uh, and then all of a sudden she sings, and she's like superstar. So you got
I,
that in your back pocket, right?
I don't know about the Diana Krall level, but I would definitely say enough to get by with that. But thank
No,
you.
no, yeah,
Since
yeah,
Jody mentioned that, I'm gonna drop the link to Jasmine's website as well, so you can check it
cool.
out there. And I'm gonna drop Brian's as well right now. And yeah, let's see. We probably have time for just a few more questions. We have Daryl asking about reed sizes. So he's asking why the size 3 for both Jasmine and Brian. Have you guys always been, playing roughly that reed size throughout?
For me, it depends on which mouthpiece I'm playing. So when I played the HR, I remember using like a very hard reed. For this, the three, I always switch. I've tried 2.5, and I
Mm.
feel like that
But why aren't
sometimes
you
it's a little
trying
too.
2.75? Why aren't you trying right in the middle?
I think just more experimenting. So I'm needing to do that, but I always just go back and forth with the sizes. I know it
But
depends on what works for people, I guess.
I think that's with that Superjet. It's like for me, it's the too hard Diodario. But when you said 3 to 2.5, they've got quarter strength, so they got
Mm.
2.75,
Mm.
and that's a bad little boy there. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, so I'm definitely gonna try that out as well
Mm.
Uh,
for that size. It's a good question.
Cool. And for
and
Brian, have you always been? Just now you mentioned you're coming down in read size actually, right?
Yeah, well, I didn't just come down to the three. I was playing the 3.5, probably up till about 2 years ago, and I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was just that I was playing them, and it just seemed like they were inconsistent. As in, like I might get two out of a good box, and so I was just like, man. But I can honestly say the threes, for some reason, the threes were just consistent, and especially on the red box. Now the blue box Van Dorens, which is their regular one, they were a little inconsistent for me. But the red box, man, I'm generally impressed with the the consistency in those, and
Mm.
so those reads they've just worked. Why do I use that strength? It just works for me.
Mhm.
And to each his own. Some people will have what works for them, but for me it's about just what you like, what gives you your voice. And if I can say real quick, I just saw somebody that signed in, Mr. Tom Brown, legendary trumpeter that wrote Jamaica Funk, who's also the gentleman that gave me my first opportunity to
Wow.
play at
Wow.
Blues Alley at 19 years old. So
Wow.
how you doing,
Wow.
Mr. Brown?
Wow. That's awesome. Thank you for joining us for this show.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Daniel, can I say one
Yes.
more thing on that
Yeah,
read?
of course.
That their read might seem maybe a little harder than somebody else's read. They're playing a 2.5, but both Jasmine and Brian are supplying a ton of air, and most of us don't supply enough air. And if you put enough air in, you can make a 3 work. And because and one of our endorsers, George Garzone, is playing the hardest read he can find on a 10 star. But it's people don't know how much great players, how much air they're putting,
Hmm.
and that's what it's about, you
Hmm.
know.
Yeah,
So
so definitely find something that works for you. Try multiple brands and sizes, I think, before you know, pass judgment on any mouthpiece. I guess that would be the best way to go about it as well.
And
We have
it's
and
very
yep.
expensive to do that. To try, buy 3 or 4 boxes of reeds. But I
Yeah.
always used to advocate reed parties where everybody like put their reeds in Listerine or something, put them all out on the table, and everybody can just try everybody's reeds because you don't like these; they're too hard, but these are good. That's because it's too hard to buy all those reeds,
Yeah.
and especially when you get 2 or 3 in the box that are good.
Yeah, or just trade. It can be new in the wrapper, still in the box, and just trade single pieces.
Yeah.
With friends. I think that will work as well. We have Enrico saying, "Excellent advice. These sessions are so informative. Thank you, Jody, and all of your special artists. Thank
Oh,
you so
Enrico,
much."
thank you, thank you. Enrico's a
And
great player. Yeah.
and we have Jermaine says, "Brian Miller owes me lessons."
Ah.
We have a question from Vinny here. He says, "How do you go about writing a song using the instrument, um, have your voice? So maybe Jasmine could share what's your preferred method to start writing a tune."
It's definitely different ways for different songs. I know sometimes I've sung melodies inside of my phone and then try to transfer that to the piano or the
Mm,
saxophone. Um, or you could just come up with it on your saxophone, or maybe if you don't play the piano, or if you know people who can work with sometimes it helps when you're working with
mm,
someone who maybe plays the piano or produces or things of that
mm,
nature. That's Writing is always great when you have
mm,
a team as well.
mm. Cool. How about Brian?
Um, so when I've come to write, man, it kind of comes into my head, and once it's there, if I can get to the instrument, then great. But like Jasmine said, I mean, I've been riding home from work, and all of a sudden something pops in my head. So the first thing I do is, I'm like, oh shucks, voice memo, and I hum it into
Mm,
my phone or I sing it into the phone,
mm,
and then once I get home, if I can get right to it, then I'll get right to it and start trying to transfer it, put it to the instrument. Um, but I mean, I've been in like full out conversation with my family riding down the road, coming back from my mom's house or traveling somewhere, and all of a sudden I'm just like, wait a minute, shh, shh, shh. And I pick up my phone and I hum something, and like the kids are like, "Daddy, what are you doing?" But they don't know that's like the head of a tune. I'm like, okay, that's cool. And so then when you get a chance to go back to it, you just kind of go and put it to the instrument, and next
mm,
thing you know, you find you a bridge or something, and that's that.
mm,
I can work my way around the piano. So that helps also. And but I've got great friends that I trust, because now you can't trust everybody sending them a skeleton of your song. But I've got some really great guys that I trust, and uh, I've got a nice ballad that I sent to a buddy of mine, and he sent it back to me with the piano voice. And all I sent to him was a melody. The only thing I
Nice.
sent was a melody, and I mean, he laid some nice stuff on it. So
mm.
it's gonna be nice. It's gonna be nice.
Oh, cool.
Go on your
Thank.
record.
I'm trying not to say too much about that, Jody.
I think we have probably one last question, and this should be a quick one. Brian and Jasmine, what microphone do you all prefer to use for recording saxophone? So maybe Brian, do you have any favorites?
Well, the microphone I'm talking on now is my newest mic that I just got maybe a couple months ago. Um, and I haven't actually officially recorded anything as far as sending with it yet. But prior to that, man, you just can't go wrong with the old faithful 58s, the Shure mics. Um, but yeah, I'm really waiting to see how this mic is going to sound, because I like what I heard when I recorded on it just myself, but I haven't done anything that I've actually sent out with it.
And
What mic
which
is it?
mic is this? Yeah.
This is the Audio Technica A220, I believe. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but I really liked it, just messing around with it at the house.
Yeah, and I think that might be the AT 2020,
Yeah,
which is a relatively inexpensive mic, considering how crazy prices can go. But if
yeah.
I'm not wrong, because I work closely with Audio Technica, and actually Billie Eilish won a Grammy singing into that mic,
Oh wow.
and it's really not always the equipment, and she's just a breakout hit. And yeah, she
Wow.
recorded most of the songs on this mic, vocals, so quite
Okay.
pretty crazy. And I think it's so reasonably priced and sounds great. So we're definitely looking forward to hearing you on this mic.
On your
And
record.
yeah, on the
Yes.
record. Yeah.
2 words,
And
Jody.
and Jasmine, I think that's a AKG mic.
It is. It's a 414.
Mm,
The
That's what I
sax
have.
yeah.
yeah, because the saxophone it's tough recording with the saxophone. If you have the wrong setup or the wrong mic, it can sound completely different. You can sound completely different. So
Mm.
I think it also depends on like the person and your preferences, what sound you want.
Yeah, I think that's been a mainstay, especially in the contemporary jazz scene. When I recorded with Paul Brown, I used that as well, and he
Yeah.
told me, Bonnie James, Dave Koz, you name it, all like that mic. So I just went to grab one. I didn't know any better. So and then when Jody needed a mic, I was like telling him, just try it, and it works. I think it works great. Also, not that crazily priced. I think it's really reasonable. Yeah. So cool. Thank you, Jonathan, for that question. Let's see. Yes, I think we unfortunately are coming to the close of today's session. I'm gonna drop in the link to the schedule for the Savannah Jazz Festival, and this will be the same
Cool.
link where you can stream the entire long weekend of shows. So once again, the festival is running from the 23rd to 27th of September, and this will be purely online. It's a Savannah Safe Jazz Festival, and Jody, Jasmine, and Brian will be performing. So definitely look out for that. Jody is one of the sponsors for the festival, and so we're definitely looking forward to that. You guys from any part of the world will get to watch it. Just make sure you check out the time zones. That's the Eastern time zone. So you can check it out. And yeah, do let us know down the road, or in the comments, if you have any other artists that you want to see featured on the show, and Jody can definitely consider reaching out to them, and we can bring them in as well. But once again, Brian, Jasmine, thank you so much for taking the time. We really appreciate it, and yeah, looking forward to watching you guys play live. And maybe any final words, maybe Jasmine.
Well, I want to say I'm definitely looking forward to the Savannah Jazz Festival. I also want to say, just Jody, thank you so much for providing this platform, these amazing mouthpieces. Um, I enjoy working with you over the years and how you closely work with all your artists and anyone who is a Jody Jazz uh, instrumentalist or saxophonist. So thank you.
Thank you, Jasmine. Thank you for doing this show, and can't wait to see you play. Um, and before I thank you, Brian, Daniel, as always, you're a great host. We really appreciate you helping us out with this and being such
No
a great
problem.
host. Thank
No
you for your
problem
work.
at all.
And Brian, thank you so much for coming tonight. And we're going to love to see you play. Audience, everybody, thank you. We really appreciate you.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
so,
Yeah, Brian, any last words for our audience here tonight?
Thank you to everyone, for just coming in and hanging out with us. You know, I've met Jasmine a few times, and we've played at some of the same festivals together, and it's always a great time watching her perform. So I'm hoping that I'm going to be there. I'll get in Saturday, I think. And so I'm hoping that you, Jasmine, when are you playing?
On Saturday at
Okay.
5.
Okay, yeah. So I have to be there by 5 o'clock on Saturday. But
The crazy thing, Brian, is they've got 50 people allowed by order of the city, and that includes the crew, the band, uh, all the TV. So
Mm.
it's I didn't even think I was going to get in on Saturday, but I actually I have 2 tickets, so it's possible you can go on my ticket.
hey, well,
But
listen, as long
it's
as I'm there, even if I got to stream it, that's fine. But
yeah,
she's
it's
she's worth
Mm.
supporting. I've enjoyed her every time I've ever heard her play, and so
yeah,
Oh, thank
and
you.
what you all see on screen now is what you get. She's just as much a sweetheart in person as she is, right now. And she's a joy to be around. Um, Thank you, Jody, again, as she said, for the platform, for the wonderful mouthpieces, for taking a
Mm.
chance on us, for believing in us with your products. Thank you, Daniel.
Mm.
Thank you for dealing with
No
me and
problem.
waiting on my replies
Not
to
at all.
emails.
Not at all. Yeah. Thank you guys so much. And maybe to end off, we have Freddie here who, when I asked who would they like to see on the show. So Freddie is asking if we can get Kenny G on the show. So Jody will let you reach out to Kenny G and see if you can maybe get him on your super jet soprano mouthpiece.
I think that's the perfect one. But I've met Kenny at the NAMM show a few times and stood next to him while he's playing, and his sound is really beautiful. Actually, he doesn't, sound the same because he mics his sax at the end of the bell, so it
Yeah.
sounds a little nasally and cuts through on the records. But his sound is quite warm. And I said, "Hi, I'm Jody. I make mouthpieces." And he said, "I never thought about the mouthpiece before." So I'm not holding my breath. It's like it's Kenny G. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Uh,
Yeah.
but but that would be cool. He's actually a great player, and his sound is
Yeah.
beautifully warm. Uh,
And I think he sounds great on his alto and tenor as well.
yeah, yeah.
Really, really
So,
nice sound.
but
So, but we'll see if we
Freddie,
can
don't
make
hold
it
your
work.
breath.
So thanks again, everyone. We really appreciate you. And once again, you still can rewatch this if you want to hear snippets of Jasmine and Brian playing. I think there's a
Yeah.
lot of gold right there. So you can always rewatch on YouTube and check out the other videos on the JodyJazz YouTube channel as well. So with that, we're gonna end today's session and look out on the JodyJazz social media for more information about any subsequent live streams here. So once again, thank you everyone who is watching, and thank you Jasmine, Brian, and Jody.
Thank you,
And good
Daniel.
night,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Good
Thank you,
night.
guys.
Good night.